Tomorrowland is a new film directed by Brad Bird, starring George Clooney, Britt Robertson, and Hugh, Laurie. And it's essentially about this teen girl who is very scientifically curious, and she toys with government property and even tries to stop this NASA rocket from launching. And basically, when she gets incarcerated due to her anti-government actions, she gets this pin along with her stuff back from jail. And basically what happens is every time she touches the pin, she gets transported into this different dimension, which is basically the future, which is apparently Tomorrowland. And basically what happens is she was given this pin by this young girl who tries to get her and this former boy genius, played by George Clooney, back to Tomorrowland to try to stop something that has gone horribly wrong that George Clooney once built in Tomorrowland. So, this film was a lot of fun, and it was really entertaining because, first of all, it was original. Oh my god, finally, a Hollywood movie that isn't a remake or a sequel or a superhero movie. This was finally an original idea. Thank you, Brad Bird. Oh my god, yes. So this film had quite an interesting structure. It was a non-linear script. So it actually started with George Clooney telling his side of the story of how he first came into Tomorrowland when he was a kid, and then it transitions to Britt Robertson telling her side of the story and her experience with Tomorrowland, and that starts out the plot of the film. So yeah, this movie was really entertaining. It had really magical, nostalgic Disney cinematography, and there was a lot of like space references and stars, and it was very beautiful, and it really made me dream. However, even if I said quite a few positive things about this movie, there were also quite a few negative things in this film. First of all, there was this part during the beginning of the movie where after we see George Clooney's story in the past, where he was a kid and he got into Tomorrowland, after that we see Britt Robertson coming home to her family, and her brother, it seems like, is that exact same kid who played young George Clooney. So we're like, wait a second, is Britt Robertson like a Time Lord and she traveled back to the past of when George Clooney was young and now he's like her brother? Because we just saw Britt Robertson be with older George Clooney, but now it's that same actor who played young George Clooney, so we're like, wait, what? But then we realized that no, this was just a bad casting choice, and that is actually her brother, and that young George Clooney was played by a different actor, but they look almost identical. Like, why would you do that? That just confuses the audience completely. And second of all, the second half of this movie, until George Clooney and Britt Robertson get to Tomorrowland, finally, it gets kind of slow and, well, not slow, but it gets kind of boring because until the second half of this movie, we only see Tomorrowland twice. But then after that, for a good like half an hour or even more, we don't really see Tomorrowland, and it's just on Earth. And it's just dialogue and not very interesting scenes because we do get teased by seeing Tomorrowland for such a short time, but we don't see it for such a long time after that. That tease kind of turns into a, this is getting kind of boring now, we want to see more of Tomorrowland. For this particular film that showed off these cool special effects and this idea of Tomorrowland, I just thought that we needed to see it more and see like that magic more of Tomorrowland. And here's the thing, I won't spoil the film for you, but once they get to Tomorrowland, in the end of the film, it's not the same as we saw it in the beginning of the movie. So actually all of this originality and original science fiction ideas that Brad Bird and his co-writer wrote, we don't really see them enough. The first two times that we get to Tomorrowland and we experience it, it's pretty magical and it's pretty cool. And some of the stuff that we see are quite original and quite cool. But just, we don't get enough of this science fiction futuristic originality that we should have seen. So basically Tomorrowland itself is a theme land in Disneyland, and that's what the Tomorrowland in the movie is based off of. The thing is that this is a Disney movie, and there is one scene in the film which really does feel like a Disney park ride. And I guess it's kind of annoying, but it's not too annoying. But however, since Tomorrowland is based off an actual theme park, shouldn't they try to sell this theme land then, Tomorrowland? Because they don't show it enough to sell it, and not just for selling it, but like for us as an audience, we really don't see enough of Tomorrowland. When you really look back at the film, just some scenes really seem empty, and the film really needed more futuristic originality, especially visually, because for the most part, the film is mostly on Earth, and it's mostly talking, which doesn't really work in this kind of movie. And actually, in the end, the story ends up being really simple, actually, because the film starts out kind of complex with this non-linear structure, but then in the end, the film was really just these two characters getting from point A to point B, then figuring out something, or not figuring out something, and then doing something, and that's it. The story was actually really simple. Also, I would say that out of the 4 main characters, only 2 were interesting characters. First of all, Britt Robertson's character, she really had charisma to her character and charm, which made everything that we were experiencing really exciting and fun and magical. And the other interesting character was Athena, played by Raffey Cassidy, who was the young girl who was from Tomorrowland, who tried to get Britt Robertson and George Clooney's characters back into Tomorrowland. She was really interesting. I won't spoil anything. There were some interesting qualities to her character, basically, which made her three-dimensional and interesting, and she had this backstory with George Clooney, which was quite interesting to watch. However, George Clooney was really George Clooney. He was nothing really special. Also, Hugh, Laurie. His character, it really felt like they only needed him to move the story along and to get into that third act of the film and to explain certain events that were happening to the world and to Tomorrowland. He was really only there for the last few scenes of the film. We just really didn't care for him. He was really a one-dimensional character. The film was entertaining, but due to all of these negative factors, I really feel like tomorrow I will just wake up and not really remember this movie because it wasn't really memorable. It was very entertaining and it was a great time at the cinema, but it could have had more sci-fi stuff, more originality, more of Tomorrowland, more three-dimensional characters, just a more interesting story. But however, just in terms of entertainment, it was very fun. I had a great time at the cinema, just not a very thoughtful time at the cinema. Also, I'm not sure if you guys remember the 2007 animated film, Meet the Robinsons, but basically Tomorrowland in this film even looks similar to the futuristic land in Meet the Robinsons. I'm going to give Tomorrowland a 7 out of 10. As I already said, on a popcorn entertainment level, it was very fun, it was very entertaining, I had a really fun time with it. It was great in terms of that, but just in terms of how much they actually showed Tomorrowland, I don't think it was enough. Half of the characters were really one-dimensional. It could have had a better, more intriguing story and not been on Earth so much and more actually in this future of Tomorrowland. That would have really been better for the film. This was another episode of Blumenfolk Film Talk. I was your host, Daniel Blumensev. If you guys have seen Tomorrowland or if you're going to watch it, leave us in the comments below what you thought about it, if you agree with my review or if you don't. Please like this video and subscribe to be updated when new film reviews come out. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!